Someone is destroying Disney animation, somebody that you probably don't know much about. And today we'd like to change that. Today we'd like to share with you why Disney Animation Studios feels a wee bit frozen when it comes to race relations, gender relations, and quality content creation. And hello folks, welcome back to the Pro Channel. Happy to have each and every one of you here with us. Another video of excellence on the way, hot fresh just for you, as we explain entertainment and keep you ahead of the culture curve. And while we like to have scoops and leaks and we like to be ahead of everybody else, we have to admit that lately Film Threat, well, they've been doing a phenomenal job. And frankly, we're trying to play catch up a little bit. Alan has been a huge part of that. Alan Ng, of course, joining us right now. Alan, congratulations, first of all, on the incredible scoops you guys have had. You have clearly reached out and convinced sources out there and people who would not necessarily ordinarily be sources that they can trust you guys. And I think that's a heck of an accomplishment.
Yeah, let's just say I didn't reach out. They came to me. It's people who, I say it again, Disney used to be the dream. And there are a lot of people out there whose dream was to work for the Walt Disney Company, Disney Animation. And they got there, and we document this radical change that has gone on, and that dream is gone. And they contacted us because they just needed to vent. They needed to talk about what's happening within the company, and that's what we're doing. We are a mere conduit of
conduit for truth, though, and it's a heck of a thing. Chris Gore, of course, over there at Film Threat, has been doing Film Threat for decades and decades. And folks, I'm here to tell you, I'm always impressed with what Chris does. I'm always impressed with what Alan does. But I think that the past weeks with these D-files have been some of the best stuff that I've seen come out of anything Chris Gore's been associated with. That's not to say anything else was less than. It's to say that this is incredible that you guys are doing this. Really?
Well, I mean, definitely of recent. If you go back into the magazine days, there's some groundbreaking stuff. We broke, or actually, Film Threat broke the whole casting couch story decades before Weinstein.
Yes, and what I would say is that this is on par. I mean, that's grotesque and awful, and I'm glad that it was put to light. But this is an attempt, I think, to save the animation industry because, I guess there will be animation whether or not Disney exists, but Disney has essentially wiped out its ability to make excellent animation, and that's something that has been a given for decade after decade after decade, going back to the 1920s, and that has been thrown into ruin. And so I want to go now to the article because, and again, folks, make sure you check out Film Threat, the website. Link is in the description down below. But if we go down here, so looking at this article that you have done, Alan, we come across this over and over. Jennifer Lee, the name keeps popping up. And of course, Jennifer Lee is a very accomplished person inside of animation, inside of storytelling. But I just want to read this one small snippet here. Disney did have a diversity problem with animation, prompting Jennifer Lee to recruit new talent from the outside. Lee brought in Carlos Lopez Estrada to direct. This talking about Raya, the last, what was it? The Last Dragon?
The Last Dragon, yes.
Yeah. The Mexican-American, not Southeast Asian director was coming off his DGA nomination for his first feature, Blind Spotting. Before that, Estrada was an experimental theater director who worked his way into directing music videos and commercials. And this, I think, really epitomizes what has been going on, but not many people know yet. In fact, I would say almost nobody outside of your readership knows what Jennifer Lee has been up to. Could you walk us through in the post-John Lasseter world what Jennifer Lee did that sort of emptied out the talent pool inside Disney and transformed it into something that it was previously not?
Yeah. I mean, so once John Lasseter was fired, Jennifer Lee came in. She took over Disney Animation, and then Pete Docter took over Pixar. And because we documented in the last in the part one of the D-files was that when the announcement was made at an all hands meeting, someone in the crowd yelled out, "Can we get a woman to run this place?" And that woman was Jennifer Lee. And there was a decided effort, and we'll get into this later, but the decided effort alongside with the organization Women in Animation to make the animation department 50-50 male-female. And also, when an executive leaves and they have projects on the table, you go in and you clean house. And so you had 3 people working on Raya and the Last Dragon who were Lasseter people. It was Paul Briggs, Dean Wellens, and Adele Lim, and needed to clean house. So she essentially forced out Paul Briggs, who was demoted to co-director, and then Dean Wellens, who was given the Baymax series over on Disney Plus, and then and basically replaced them with Carlos Estrada there, who.
And what was his background? I mean, was he an expert in animation? Did he?
No, he was a music video director and a commercial director for a very long time. He found success with his movie Blind Spotting, which got him a DGA first time director nomination. And so, it's kind of like from a PR standpoint, we're bringing in a fresh new voice, person of color, to come and direct a Disney film. The problem is that he didn't know anything about directing animation, which is very different from live action. And you can see that once Raya was done, he left Disney and went back to making music videos.
Right. Animation turns out to be a tricky creature, and it's not something that you can easily hop from one domain to the next and carry that over to animation.
Yeah.
But for those out there, Alan, who might not have heard of Jennifer Lee in the past, what was it that caused her to rise to the ranks so dramatically at Disney and become who she is now?
Yeah, I mean, quite famously, she was the director of, I believe she wrote and directed Frozen.
Yes.
And I think the one after that, I think it's in the article there. I should have just pulled it up. It was Frozen and another one that wildly successful. And so that, that she, let's just say that when the announcement came that Jennifer Lee was taking over at Disney Animation, I don't think people on the outset thought that was necessarily a bad choice.
Now, when we take a look at the article again, it says here that Disney Animation did go out of its norm in hiring with the help of Women in Animation, an advocacy group created in 1993.
Mm-hmm.
And this seems to have come about under the direction of Jennifer Lee in terms of what she wanted to do, reaching these quotas that you mentioned earlier. Their mission, that being Women in Animation, says, we envision a world in which people of all gender identities share fully in the creation, production, and rewards of animation, which, by the way, I would say if you're if this goes beyond women and just to all gender identities, then women would be the minority.
The phrase was female presenting and non-binary people.
Well, Alan, let me ask you this. So you've talked to a number of people who are disgruntled animators who have been put through this Jennifer Lee system now. And I'm just curious, if you're a Joe Blow white guy, okay, you're just Joe Smith, you're just normal, you're pasty, you're boring, but you're a good animator. Why would a person such as that not perhaps at the workplace switch their gender identity and say, well, when I'm here, I identify as whatever, just so that they don't have to worry that I'm going to be lassered, I'm going to be tossed out, I'm going to be accused and maligned? Why would they not do that?
Because maybe they have integrity. That's the $1 million question. It's I don't know if you're familiar with the movie The Front, but it's a Woody Allen movie where they basically hired Woody Allen. These McCarthy writers, blacklisted writers, hire Woody Allen to basically present their scripts under his name. And then they get made, and there's you're hacking the system now to get work, and are people so bold now that they would be going down that road? And quite frankly, how far will you get? It's just a tricky field, because you've got to kind of say, all right, how exactly do I claim that I am non-binary and take that grift far enough into the system to finally get a job, and a job of prominence.
I think it's going to be the fascination, the MacGuffin of many careers out there is how do I become non-binary? This last paragraph, though, continuing on, sources tell us that with Raya and the Last Dragon, the goal wasn't to bring diversity, equity, and inclusion into the existing community of Disney animators, but to replace it with a radicalized group of female activists completely. One female POC, person of color animator, contacted us about her experience with Women in Animation to further her career in animation. She was looking for mentorship and resources to break into the industry. When initial discussions were cordial, she was quickly ghosted by the organization because she did not live in Los Angeles and could not be helpful to their cause, i.e., she could not protest along with them.
Mm-hmm.
But Alan, this doesn't exist unless someone like Jennifer Lee allows it to come into being, manifest itself inside the company. And I guess what I'm curious about is, in your estimation, what kind of damage has been done to the creative process now at Disney Animation? Is this a system by which people of color, however we want to phrase that, and however we want to categorize that, do they now have superiority in the creative process? And does that eliminate the voices in the minds of people who might have a differing opinion that could be of worth and of note?
Yeah.
In other words, is this creating a hierarchy of creative input?
I think it's worse than that. I think, let's take a step back. The idea of women in animation sounds like a good idea in the sense of, animation being at that point a male-dominated field. There are women who strive to be animators who have done art, and women in animation should have been there basically to say, "Hey, let me mentor you. Let's look at your work and let's see how we can improve it. Let me give you some resources on how to go and apply for jobs, how to beef up your resume, and it's basically get you to a position where when you apply for the animation job, you are seen as a viable candidate and will do a good job, and thereby you kind of balance the scale there, so to speak. And so you're producing talent. But in this case, that doesn't seem to be the case. It was more, are you a woman? Do you want to be in animation? Join our organization. We'll give you networking opportunities. We'll give you seminars on how to work in the workplace. We're seeing that these seminars where, what happens when certain situations happen in the workplace. And so it had nothing to do with the talent of doing animation, but it was more about how to be a woman in this work environment. And what we found, and it's a little bit limited in the article I wrote because a lot of this information actually came in after when it published. But you go in and there are women committee meetings, and they talk about give you opportunities to vent, give you opportunities to consider the work being done, i.e., story, and ways that maybe we can get together and pick apart the story. And look at small ways in which it does not honor women, and then when we go into a pitch meeting or creative meeting, we can all come together as a singular force and make changes. And that right there is the death of the creative process. When
Yes.
You have people who have basically strategized a battle plan before going into a creative meeting, and decides that this is what we're going to say, this is what we're going to do, and if anyone goes against us, if anyone questions us, if anyone tries to offer an alternate idea, we can now go into the bag of is and throw it their way.
How does this compare to the way things worked prior to Lasseter's departure from Disney? I know he was a Pixar guy, but he was creative officer for a long time.
Yeah.
How does this compare back to the olden days when I guess we're alleging that creativity was supreme, or at least it was a parallel with the financial decisions? It didn't come down to these sort of Berg units, BERG units, where you have people aligning into tribalism. How does it compare? What was it like before?
All you have to do is watch the making of Toy Story and any other Pixar film. That the creative process was very collaborative. It was you walk into the room and there's the wall-to-wall storyboard, and you go in, you pitch ideas, you brainstorm. I talked to someone who used to be in that room, and sometimes you just need to throw out weird and wacky ideas, and maybe that will spark some creativity. Whether you use it or not, it gets everyone's creative brains working.
Sure.
And now you have. This is the thing.
Feels like there's fear in the storyboard room now. There's fear as to what you might say that could get you in trouble.
Exactly. Well, that there are two things going on. If you have a room of 10 writers, half of them, let's just say half of men, half women, ultimately you have 10 voices, 10 singular voices. But if you have a meeting prior to that and you take the 5 female voices and you solidify and you make them one thought, now it's one giant voice going up against
Sure.
5 disparate voices, and that creates a bullying situation. And what was the thing you brought up? You mentioned something really interesting there, and I'm trying to remember what you just said.
Oh, I mean, it was fantastic, but it's escaped me because your answer was perfect.
Yeah.
But Alan, I want to go to I guess my curiosity is after Wish. Jennifer Lee is not just listed as an executive producer on Wish.
Mm-hmm.
She wrote the screenplay. She's the first name on the story.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get a sense in talking with these folks, these not just disgruntled, but I think people who are literally afraid for their careers and the industry at large? Do you get a sense from them that people like Jennifer Lee and some of these transformative figures who have put out films that have been obliterated at the box office, do you get a sense that Disney is aware that that these individuals are destroying their brand and maybe they don't have quite the power they once had, or are they just as strongly concreted into the executive structure as always?
Mm-hmm. I'll say this. I'll be absolutely upfront. I have very few contacts who are currently there now that worked on Wish. There are 1 or 2 that kind of, help break the story here. And some of them have worked on Strange World. And the impression I get is, if you
2 great
truly
films, by the way, folks, great films.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe the losses.
Right. I mean, if you really want to say what was John Lasseter's last project that he had any kind of fingerprint on, it was Encanto. And I believe that was merely hiring Lin-Manuel Miranda to do the music for that. And so once Encanto came out, you saw a stark drop in the quality of Disney animation. With Strange World, you saw a drop in story. You saw activism put in that story. But you had animation there at least. With Wish, you saw the drop of not only story, but now you saw a drop in the quality of animation. And so what it appears is that after Encanto, I would venture to guess that most of the main veterans who worked at Disney were gone.
And not only that, but they cannot replenish the ranks, is my understanding, easily, because it's no longer the dream of many to go to Disney because it's become such a hostile working environment.
Even if you were a great animator and a great storyteller, why would you work for Disney? I mean, that's ultimately what I'm hearing is that, and you can tell by, who was ultimately involved in Strange World and Wish, is that, a lot of the veterans are gone.
Alan, one of the things that we've reported on thatparkplace.com is we had a source come to us, someone who worked at Disney at high levels, and said that there was a great fear amongst the employees that if they posted anything on social media, which was even moderate in its political statement, that human resources would be coming to talk to that individual. Did you ever come across any sources who had that same sort of experience where they couldn't even, you couldn't even express a moderate political viewpoint without fear of reprisal?
Well, the question is, was there a source that didn't have to go?
Oh my gosh!
I mean, and look, animation, yes, but I'm pretty sure it's not a far stretch to believe that it infected every business unit of the Walt Disney Company. And we just got a note from someone at the theme parks, same as you, that it's spread everywhere. It like a cancer, it is spread throughout the entire organization.
What's amazing is I think it was about 6 months ago we had Christian Toto on the Pro Show, and that was when that leak had gotten hot, and we were talking about it. We were talking about a source who had come to us and said, "Hey, HR is monitoring conservatives at Disney." And when we started going through this, as if there are conservatives at Disney anymore, and we went through this, and Christian Toto's response was, "Man, I've heard bad stories, but you guys are telling me stuff that this is out there." And now 6 months later, I don't think anybody thinks that's out there anymore. I mean, it's just, that's Disney. But
Yeah.
Well, Alan, I guess where I would like to wrap this conversation up, and by the way, thank you again for appearing with us.
Well, absolutely.
I think we're all striving for the same thing, which is to restore animation and potentially even in the future restore Disney once it's under new leadership. But talking about that leadership again, when it comes to Jennifer Lee and this system that's been put in place, it seems to me that they have eliminated the pipeline that drives so much of the talent to Disney. is it your thought now that it would actually be very difficult for Disney to produce something on par with what they have in the past, or do you think that it's just an ideological turnaround that needs to happen? Like, what is this? Is this a poor game plan, or is this, hey, we don't have the players to compete on the field any longer, and we need to rebuild?
Yeah, I think where Disney Animation is today, it's a lost cause. You know, the only way to save Disney Animation today is to clean house, fire everybody.
Alan, this is what we say about Lucasfilm. This is what we say about, like, do you know how many departments of Disney that we talk to experts, and I consider you an expert on this. You're breaking news on Film Threat that the world needs to know, and every person we go to, we're like, hey, what could they do to turn this around at Disney? And every person says, fire them all.
Yeah.
I mean, this is awful.
Yeah, I mean, this very vocal bullying voice that exists in Disney Animation, they are so well entrenched in Disney Animation that, you know, it's not like you can fire a few people. You can fire the the leader. You've got to fire everybody. It's sad that it's come to that, but you have to do I called it the Great Mouse Reset. You need to reset the Great Mouse Reset, and what the woke doesn't want to hear is you've got to find these veterans, bring them back, and restore the traditions that Walt Disney had once made before these people ultimately all retire and leave the business altogether.
Well, I mean, it really is. It is astonishing that every person we talk to across every domain of Disney. I mean, I guess Disney Cruises, they're fine, but like it's every other division that you talk to somebody, they say, fire them all, man. Everybody's got to go.
Yeah, I mean, we're still researching this aspect of the story, but I think there's a belief that that the executive management kind of sees the writing on the wall, and
they got to.
And that I think there will be a civil war at some point, and I think with a lot of the tactics that senior management had used in Wish, which we'll bring up when that article comes out, that they're probably trying to break the industry, break the people, break the union. And you're going to see, the two keywords will be overseas and AI.
Yes. Oh, definitely. I agree 100%. And it's been fascinating to me to watch also that at the same time that you all are reporting this on Film Threat, Chris is taking such fire on Twitter for his claim that feminizing Star Wars will be the biggest economic disaster in the history of entertainment. And, it's everywhere. It's amazing to me that Disney watched Kathleen Kennedy do what Kathleen Kennedy did to Star Wars, and they said, hey, well, we've got this franchise failing in a free fall. Let's do it with all the other divisions we have. Let's go for it. We're not trying hard enough. So Bob Iger's the problem. We'll see how this goes. Especially I'm interested in what happens with Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo when they potentially get on the board. What a fight. I think the Civil War is here. And Alan, you're doing a fantastic job, you and Chris, of bringing this to everybody. Folks, we cannot recommend enough that you go check out Film Threat, the website. The D-Files Part 2, Part 3 on the way. What do you think, Alan, next week or the week thereafter?
Probably in 2 weeks. That would be my guess.
Well, fantastic stuff. Folks, if you like conversations such as this where we dive deep into the problems of Disney and explain entertainment, consider clicking the like button. Share, subscribe. When you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. Let this not be two talking heads on YouTube, but nay, join the conversation. Your mind is a terrible thing to waste, so waste it not. And folks, we will be breaking exclusive news here on the Pro Channel tomorrow in regards to one Rachel Zegler and apparently what Disney has come up with for solving their Snow White problem. You do not want to miss it. Don't miss Film Threat as well. Alan, what do you guys got coming up on the YouTube channel?
We got we're waking up really early tomorrow morning for the Oscar nominations. Then we have Hollywood on the Rocks, and we're going to talk about our experiences at Sundance. And I'll also talk about a surprisingly good movie, which is Ava DuVernay's Origin.
Fantastic stuff.
This could be a weird conversation. And
that is a potpourri, hodgepodge of different topics. I look forward to it all. Yep. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Fix this up here.
This is one big cultural appropriation, don't you think?
What do you mean? We're just celebrating the Year of Medmut.
There's no thing called the Year of Medmut. There's a dog, but not a Medmut. Where did you get this from? Were you reading Time magazine again?
No, but I just figured that since he's so generous, he deserved to be like Star of the Year. The goat, if you will.
No.
We all know goats are hot.
You're just trying to suck up to him to get a membership on our channel, aren't you?
Maybe.
That's so disgusting. I'd say you should be ashamed of yourself, but trying to butter up to him like that... Then again, it is you.
Look, man, butter worked on Jonas.
Putting butter on a second-degree burn isn't a solution. Besides that, there's like another restraining order against you going near anyone in the kitchen. But you know what there isn't a court order for? Subscribing to WDW Pro and bookmarking thatparkplace.com, where John Trent is editor-in-chief, so you can keep ahead of the culture curve and get accurate information, which will also keep you from getting burned by the mainstream media.
So you are saying I did a sick burn?
You're an idiot. Now clean all this up.
Yeah, I'm not cleaning this up.